Good morning, my students. Today we'll start our new year. English department, second preparatory, and today we have David Copperfield. This is our novel today. Today we have only introduction. Okay, only introduction about our novel. But before we start, we have some pictures, and I want you to know what about this picture. Look at this picture. What do you think about this picture? This is for David. Yes, this is for David while he was a child. Okay? Number 2, second picture. Look at this picture. What do you think about that? Who is this man? Yes, very good. Yeah, I think the man is the author of the novel or the writer of the novel. Let's have some information about him. Number 1. His name is Charles Dickens. His name is Charles Dickens. So the author or the writer of the novel is Charles Dickens. So this is number 1. Charles Dickens was a British novelist, journalist, editor, illustrator, and social commentator who wrote such beloved classic novels. He wrote a lot of novels. Let's know some of his works. The first one, Oliver Twist. Number 2, A Christmas Carol. Number 3, Nicholas Nickleby. And number 4, our novel today, David Copperfield. And A Tale of Two Cities. And this is the next year novel that we will study, but this is next year. And then, Great Expectation, and this is in the first secondary. Okay? So, this is his works. Number 2. Dickens is remembered as one of the most important and influential writers of the 16th century. He was one of the most important, influential writers of 19th century. And among of his accomplishments, he has been lauded or praised as what? For providing a stark portrait. A stark means completely. Stark portrait of Victorian era underclass helping to bring about social change. Okay, so this is the 2 points that I want to know about Charles Dickens. He was a British novelist. And number 2, he was remembered as one of the most important, influential writers of the 19th century. Okay? Look, the second part, I want to talk about the themes. What about the themes that? Themes like big ideas of the novel or main ideas of the novel. Our novel is talk about something. Look at that, look at the picture. The picture that something find some difficulties to what? To move this hard rock. This is what? Yeah, this indicates to, yes, very good, the hardship of the weak. Hardship of the weak. What does it mean with hardship of the weak? The difficulties of the weak people. The difficulties that faces the weak people during this era. Okay? So, our novel here, through David Copperfield, the powerful people abuse the weak and helpless. Abuse them how? Or which part that represent this idea? Dickens focus on what? On the orphans, like Ham and Emily, we'll know that. Women, and the mentally disabled. Okay? To show that the exploitation, not pity or compassion. And this is what the rule, yes, in this industrial society. Okay? So this is the first what? The first theme, the hardship of the weak. Second one. Look at this picture. I think we have 3 classes here. Look, this is the poor people, and this is middle class, and this is the rich people. So from that, let's read the explanation and find the title that is suitable for our speech. Throughout the novel, Dickens criticizes his society's view, how of wealth, class and class, wealth and class. So that means he what? He blamed or he criticized the society's view of wealth and class. So I think that we are talking about wealth and class here as measures of a person's value. So the person, if we want to make a value for the person, he must have wealth or he must be in the upper class. Okay, so Dickens here use Steerforth. Steerforth, one of the characters, one of our characters here. And this character represents what? He is wealthy and powerful and noble. So he used this character to what? To explain the wealth and the class. How? Steerforth was wealthy, powerful, and noble to show that these traits, that these are advantages, okay? So these traits are more likely to corrupt them. Improve the person's character. So these advantages, to be wealthy, to be powerful, and to be noble, these traits or advantages here are more likely to corrupt. You know corrupt here? Yes, to make something bad or someone bad than to improve a person's character. Okay? So Steerforth was a treacherous, disloyal to his friend David, okay? And to, to one of the characters that we have in our novel. And self-absorbed. He is interested in himself only. And on the other hand, we have some characters to present the poor. On the other hand, we have Mr. Peggotty and Ham. They are very poor, but they are what? Yes, they are sympathetic and generous. Okay? So I want to put title here for our point of view. Let's see. Yes, wealth and class. So we are talking about what? Wealth and class. Okay? So we have 2 points here. We have 2 themes here. The first one was the hardship of the weak, and the second one, wealth and class. We have quotation here. Let's know, and let's know it's said by whom. Like many fond parents, I have in my heart of hearts a favorite child. And his name is David Copperfield. Who said these words? And why he said these words? The one that said these words was Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens. Why he said these words? Why? Because David Copperfield, or our novel, is the most important or his favorite novel. He said like that. Like many fond parents, I have in my heart of hearts a favorite child, and this name or his name is David Copperfield. Why he liked the most? Why he liked this? Why he likes this novel best? Why? Because we have some similarities between the early childhood of David and the early childhood of our writer here, Charles Dickens. So it was his most important novel. Okay. Now we have the characters. Let's read, but I want you to guess and read some of them. The first one, David. And this is what? David is the most important character, okay, that we are talking about. So David Copperfield. And this one was a young man who experienced a hard early life. So he had what? A hard, early life till he became a gentleman. Okay? So his early childhood until the age of 8 was perfect. He was very happy. But after the age of 8, he finds some problems. Okay? But we will know this one later. After that, Clara Copperfield. And she was David's mother. She was David's mother, Clara. Number 3, Betsy, or Miss Betsy Trotwood. Miss Betsy Trotwood. And she was David's aunt. David's aunt. Number 4, Peggotty, or Clara Peggotty. Clara Peggotty. Why we call her Peggotty only? Yes, because her mistress told her that I have to call you Peggotty because they have the same name here. Okay, so they don't want anyone to be confused. So she called her Peggotty. Clara Copperfield called Peggotty, or called the Clara Peggotty, Peggotty only. Okay, and Clara was, or Clara Peggotty was Clara Copperfield's housekeeper and best page. After that, Mr. Murdstone. Mr. Murdstone. And we have to take care of this person. Mr. Murdstone. This is David's stepfather. And he had, or he treated David badly. We know everything about both of them. Next, Mrs. Murdstone. Mrs. Murdstone was, yes, Mr. Murdstone's sister. Okay. Next, Daniel. Daniel Peggotty. Daniel Peggotty was the brother of Clara Peggotty. Peggotty's brother. Okay. Next, Ham. Ham and Emily. Ham and Emily. They are the 2 orphans that were adopted by Daniel Peggotty. So Ham and Emily was an orphan, or Ham was an orphan adopted by Daniel, and Emily was an orphan adopted by Daniel Peggotty. Next, Barks. Mr. Barks. Mr. Barks had one speech or one sentence is very important, and we will repeat it many times in our novel. Barks is willing. Barks is willing. Who was Barks that? He was a coach driver and Peggotty's husband. He was Peggotty's husband and a coach driver. After that, Traddles, or Tommy Traddles. Traddles was David's friend. Was David's friend. Next, we have Mr. Micawber. Mr. Micawber. Mr. Micawber was David's first host, and always he was always in debt. He was always in debt. Take care of this word. After that, Mrs. Micawber, his wife, Mr. Micawber's wife. Next, Mr. Wickfield. Mr. Wickfield was Mrs. Betsy's lawyer or consultant, and David's second host. So this is the first host for David, and this is the second host for David. After that, Agnes, and she was Mr. Wickfield's daughter. She was Mr. Wickfield's daughter. After that, Uriah Heep. Okay, Mr. Wickfield's assistant. Mr. Wickfield's assistant, okay? And after that, Mrs. Heep, so she was Uriah's mother. After that, Mr. Deck. Mr. Deck was the wise man of Miss Betsy Trotwood, and she didn't do anything until she took his advice. After that, Steerforth. Yes, Steerforth was David's best friend. Steerforth was David's best friend. Next, Mr. Spenlow. Mr. Spenlow was a lawyer and David's trainer. A lawyer and David's trainer. And he was the father of Dora. Who was Dora? Dora was Mrs. Spenlow's daughter, and she was, yes, a wife of David. A wife of David. All of these are the characters. So let's repeat them again. David, Clara, Miss Betsy Trotwood, Miss Clara Bigotti, and Mr. Milstone, Mrs. Milstone, Daniel Bigotti, Ham, Emily, Barks, Tommy Traddles, Mr. Micawber, Mrs. Micawber, Mr. Whitfield, Agnes, Uriah Heep, Mrs. Heep, Mr. Deck, and Steerforth, Mr. Spello, Dora. These are the characters of our novel. After that, I want to ask you one question. Here, this is for you. Now, what is or are the characters you are most interested to know about? I want you to get some information, some ideas, some points about the most important or the one you like to know some about him. Okay, thank you for watching. So this is the first part, our introduction about our novel, okay?